Warning, the following contains graphic content that may be disturbing for some viewers. If this is not of your liking, you are advised to walk away now. You have been warned.
The Cutie Mark Killers. Scootaloo sighed. It was near the end of the school day. She was anxious to get home. She looked at the clock. 2:30. Only a half hour remained. She wasn't even pretending to listen to Miss Cheerilee anymore. Her eyes kept glazing over and drifting around the room. She glanced out the window at the beautiful day she was being robbed of. It wasn't fair. Mrs. Cheerilee had given this lesson at least a dozen times. The same old cutie marks relating to every pony's special talent, and how it takes real dedication and patience to make one appear. Scootaloo rolled her eyes at the thought. Who was more dedicated than her and the other Cutie Mark crusaders? At that, she lazily turned her head towards where her two best friends sat. Apple Bloom looked nearly comatose, her eyes heavily lifted, drooling slightly on her desk. She looked past Apple Bloom to see Sweetie Belle. To her surprise, Sweetie Belle was sitting at a rapt attention, hanging off Mrs. Cheerilee's every word. She seemed to be silently repeating something under her breath, with a look of pure determination set on her face. Finally, when Cheerilee stopped talking for a moment, Sweetie Belle shot her hoof up. The dramatic movement was enough to wake up Apple Bloom. Cheerilee smiled and softly said,
"Yes, Sweetie Belle?"
Well,
she began.
if a cutie mark is what reflects what you were best at, what happens if what you were best at is something bad?
Cheerilee's sweet smile faltered slightly.
Oh, what do you mean?
Sweetie Belle trailed off, not sure how to continue.
Let's say there was a pony who was a really good robber. Would his cutie mark be something that reflects that?
All of the eyes in the class were turned to Cheerilee.
Well, you see,
The teacher stammered, having never been asked that question before. However, she knew the answer, of course.
you see, even if a pony's talent is against the law, it is still a talent, so yes, it would be reflected on their cutie mark. However,
She quickly stated, seeing the confused-looking faces around the room.
that doesn't make it any less wrong to break the law, and it makes a pony much easier to catch if they run around with a robber cutie mark.
She chuckled lightly at her own joke. Sweetie Belle nodded with a smile on her face.
Huh, why didn't I think of that?
Scootaloo thought to herself.
Okay, class. Looks like we're out of time for today. Remember your assignments on Alicorn history are due Monday.
Finally!
Thought Scootaloo, and she nearly leapt out of her seat. She was just about to bolt to the door when she heard Sweetie Belle give her and Apple Bloom a hoarse whisper.
Wait here until everybody leaves. I need to ask Miss Cheerilee something.
She said. Sweetie Belle was sweating slightly, and her front hooves were shaking. She looked almost nervous? No, more anxious. The three of them waited in their seats until all of the other students had left the classroom to go home. Cheerilee looked up from the stacks of papers she was stuffing into her bag, seeing the three fillies alone in the classroom, looking up at her.
Is there something you need?
She asked, confused.
Yeah, actually,
Said Sweetie Belle.
I need to ask you something. I think I found out how to get a cutie mark really easily, and I wanted to know if you would help me out with it.
Cheerilee chuckled to herself. These three always had some scheme or adventure planned to obtain their cutie marks.
Of course.
She said, mostly humoring the filly. Scootaloo noticed that something wasn't right. Sweetie Belle was acting strange. Her horn glowed faintly with the turquoise light, and her desk slowly creaked open.
Would you do anything to help us?
I'll try my best.
Cheerilee said, closing her eyes and beaming at them.
Good.
Scootaloo saw the knife far too late. Like a bullet, it shot from Sweetie Belle's desk, flung with magic at their teacher. There was a dull thwack as the blade sank deep into Cheerilee's purple chest. Her eyes bulged open, and she staggered back a few steps, a look of pure confusion and terror on her face. Time froze. Sweetie Belle was standing on her desk, front legs stretched out in front of her, like she had physically thrown the knife with her hoof. Apple Bloom was staring at the knife in Cheerilee, mouth agape. Scootaloo couldn't even start to process what just happened. A river of dark red started to flow from the knife, dripping to the floor. Cheerilee looked at Sweetie Belle and managed to take a shaky step towards the filly.
Grab her! Don't let her get anywhere!
Shouted Sweetie Belle, her horn lighting up again. Acting on pure instinct, Scootaloo dove at Cheerilee, grabbing her front leg. She was dimly aware of Apple Bloom doing the same to the other. The force of the impact knocked Cheerilee off balance. She toppled to the floor, rolling on her back. The teacher let out a hoarse scream as she got over the internal shock and felt the blinding pain of the blade that was lodged in her chest. Sweetie Belle pounced on top of her teacher, her horn alight. The knife became wrapped into her magic and was pulled out of the wound. As the tip left Cheerilee, blood began flowing more freely, pouring down on her sides, forming a pool of crimson around them. Sweetie Belle looked manic. A huge grin split across her features, and her eyes were lit up with delight. She had been looking forward to this all day. It had to work. There was nothing left to try. She would get her cutie mark today. She brought the blade back down into Cheerilee, sinking it even deeper into a spot a few inches from her first wound. The teacher let out another pained scream, and she arched her back backwards, sealing in agony. She tried to push herself off the floor, but her rapidly draining strength couldn't overcome the 3 falls pinning her down. The blade was extracted again, and for a third time it dove into her, this time lower down in her stomach.
No! No, no, no!
She screamed.
Stop this! Please!
She started sobbing. The blinding pain was too much to bear. Apple Bloom, with a terrified look on her face, shoved her hoof into her teacher's mouth, attempting to silence her. Sweetie Belle frowned. It wasn't supposed to take this long. She had assumed that her teacher would have just dropped dead instantly. She started stabbing her repeatedly, spraying blood and bits of mangled flesh everywhere. Again and again the knife came down, shredding the withering pony underneath her. However, the teacher still screamed, her blood-curdling scream into Apple Bloom's hoof. Sweetie Belle had to try something else.
Make sure you hold her still.
She told her friends.
Sweetie Belle,
Apple Bloom choked.
what's happening? Why are you doing this?
I'll explain when I'm done. But right now you need to have my back on this. You have my back, right?
Sweetie Belle looked between the two fillies, a determined look in her eyes.
I have your back.
Scootaloo whispered. She couldn't explain it, but everything that was happening made sense. Like she had found the last piece of a puzzle.
Good. And you?
Sweetie Belle said, looking towards Apple Bloom.
Yeah.
Apple Bloom stammered. Her normally off-yellow coat had turned slightly pale. She looked down at the sobbing pony underneath her. Gathering herself, she solemnly nodded.
I got your back.
Excellent. Now, just hold her down.
Sweetie Belle said. With all her power, she sank the blade into the middle of Cheerilee's torso and pulled down on it. The sharp tool nearly cut a line between her ribcage down towards her pelvis. She pulled aside the 2 flaps of rag skin and muscle like curtains. Inside was the worst sight Scootaloo had ever seen. Her organs were there, in full view. The stomach was punctured in several places, with bile bubbling out and collecting into the cavity surrounding it. Her intestines were even worse, with slash marks all over them. They were almost severed in places. Blood began to pool into the gaping wound, congealing into the dark brown puddle. Cheerilee couldn't scream anymore. She drifted in and out of consciousness, the life slowly draining from her. Sweetie Belle stepped into the wound with her hind legs, separating the sides of the incision even further. Using her magic, she picked up the knife again. She grabbed the large intestines, and with a small smile, cut them loose from her stomach. Sweetie Belle bundled them up with their front hooves, pulled them from the body with a horrible squelching noise. A sickly green sludge began to drip from the severed end. Placing them to the side of the body, she turned her attention to the stomach. She slashed at it with a knife, shredding the thin tissue. Rivers of foul-smelling acid and half-digested food spilled from the destroyed organ. Tearing it from the cavity with her hooves, she placed it next to the intestines on the floor. Reaching into the now mostly empty maw with her knife, she thrust it up towards where she hoped the heart and lungs were. Clumsily, she stabbed upwards repeatedly, each time drawing less and less blood.
Sweetie Belle?
Sweetie Belle continued thrusting, sinking the blade again and again through the diaphragm and into the bottom of her lungs.
Sweetie Belle!
Startled, she looked up. Apple Bloom was looking at Cheerilee's face. Their teacher's eyes had rolled back into their sockets. Her mouth was hanging open, blood dripping from it. Her chest no longer moved, and the flesh underneath her seemed strangely cold. Cheerilee was dead. Scootaloo took a few steps back to take in the gruesome scene before her. Blood was everywhere. In her frenzied swinging, Sweetie Belle had managed to spray it nearly 6 feet in every direction. The corpse in front of her was stained red, with clumps of skin and flesh hanging loosely from the massive hole in her torso. Dozens of smaller wounds dotted in the body. The pool of blood under the body had stopped spreading and was mixing into the juices from the organs, creating a sickly stench that filled the classroom. Apple Bloom was still clutching the corpse's leg, looking even more pale than before. Her face was an expressionless mask looking down into the half-empty chest cavity of her former teacher. Shaking, she dipped her hoof into the mess and scooped up some of the bloody pulp, examining it closely. Scootaloo looked back at Sweetie Belle, who was cleaning her knife with the side of Cheerilee's leg. She was covered in gore, her normally white coat now stained with red.
What did we do?
Apple Bloom asked, voice trembling.
She was our teacher, and
We did what we had to do to get our cutie marks.
Replied Sweetie Belle, turning towards her.
You heard what she said. Cutie marks can appear even if we do bad things. And since we tried every good thing imaginable, this is our last option.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Said Scootaloo from behind them, deep in thought. Was this their special talent? Killing ponies. She did feel something when she watched as Sweetie Belle was stabbing their teacher. It felt really exciting, like it was what she always wanted to do, but never knew. It was fun. She wanted more. Sweetie Belle began circling in place, attempting to get a better look at her own flank.
Did it appear? Do I have a mark?
Sorry, Belle. Still blank flank.
Replied Scootaloo. Sweetie Belle sighed wearily.
Oh well. We're just going to have to try harder next time.
She said.
Right, Apple Bloom?
They both looked at the tan earth pony. She was still looking at the mass of red mush in her hoof. She leaned in forward and sniffed it, then gave it an experimental lick.
Ew!
Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo squealed together.
what?
Said Apple Bloom, looking genuinely confused.
That's so gross.
Said Scootaloo.
Not really. It's actually really good.
Apple Bloom licked the pulp again, and a soft moan escaped her throat.
I always wondered what meat tasted like. Living entirely off of apples gets mighty boring after a while.
So gross.
Repeated Scootaloo.
We should clean up here. It looks a little murdery.
Said Sweetie Belle, looking around the scene in front of her. The other 2 crusaders nodded in agreement and went about fixing the place up. They cleaned up all of the bloody fluids, dumping them into the sink in the washroom. With that done, they dragged Cheerilee, with her insides hastily reinserted, and shoved her into the broom cupboard in the back of the class.
So, what now?
Asked Apple Bloom, who was idly chewing on the remaining gore in her hoof.
Well, we need to decide which pony should be next. And we need to find a way to take care of them more silently.
Sweetie Belle said, rubbing her chin with her hoof.
I'm sure Sakura has some powerful sleeping potions.
Explained Apple Bloom.
And Miss Sparkle would have a useful binding spell at the library.
Said Scootaloo.
That way we wouldn't need to keep holding them down.
Damn.
Asked Apple Bloom skeptically.
Well, yeah. It might take more than one to really get our talent down and make our marks.
Scootaloo secretly just wanted to feel the thrill of taking a life again and again. Cutie Mark or no.
Makes sense.
Apple Bloom said. She swallowed and sighed as the last of her meal slid down her throat.
Man, that was good.
So it's decided.
Scootaloo declared.
We go straight to the library, then Zakora, so we can get our Cutie Mark crusade on.
The crusaders bumped hooves and trotted out of the class. not sparing another thought to the scene they left in the broom cupboard. Fluttershy trotted along the outskirts of town square, where the crowds of ponies were thinnest. The timid Pegasus normally stayed away from the town on Friday afternoons, but she had promised Cheerilee that she would deliver the cookies she had ordered from Sugar Cube Corner. Normally, Pinkie Pie would take care of the deliveries, but they had such a terrible backorder that Fluttershy had volunteered to help. As she crossed the square, she saw 3 familiar fillies running full tilt towards the library. Seeing them brought a little smile on Fluttershy's face. Off under the crusade, she guessed. She had made a mental note to check on them later. Whenever they went out on their little adventures, they usually managed to get into some kind of trouble. Mostly minor, but... She shuddered, remembering the incident of the Everfree Forest. Okay, checking up on them was a priority. After she finished with Cheerilee, she decided. A few minutes later, she was at the school. It looked like the classes were done for the day. It seemed oddly peaceful without dozens of fillies and colts running around. She stepped inside and looked around. Cheerilee was nowhere to be seen. Strange. She usually stayed in the classroom a few hours after school to grade papers and prepare the next day's lesson. Oh well, Fluttershy would just have to try Cheerilee's house. She was just about to turn around when she heard a faint dripping sound. Curious, she turned to where the sound was coming from. It seemed to have come from the back of the class. She cautiously edged towards the sound, starting to feel slightly alarmed. It was silly, she knew, but she couldn't really help it. She took a deep breath and sang a song in her head that Pinkie Pie had taught her a long time ago.
Giggle at the ghostly, guffaw
The sound was getting louder, but the time between drits was getting longer.
Snortle at spooky.
Fluttershy had followed the sound to the far corner of the room, where the bloom cupboard was. She leaned towards it to look closer. A thick red fluid was dripping from the corner of the door. It almost looked like... Fluttershy let out a terrified squeak. There was no mistaking it now. Trembling, she reached her hoof towards the door handle. With a sudden movement, she whipped it open. All that she remembered was seeing Cheerilee flying down towards her, knocking Fluttershy over and landing in a heap on the floor, face first. Fluttershy bolted up onto her hooves, now in full panic mode.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh!
She gently poked the pony on the ground. When no response came, Fluttershy turned her over onto her back. What she saw nearly made her pass out on the spot. There were cuts everywhere on Cheerilee's chest, thin ones, but unmistakably deep. What drew Fluttershy's eye, however, was the massive laceration going down on the earth pony's stomach. It was separated slightly, a horror show of misplaced organs underneath. Fluttershy stumbled backwards, distancing herself from the dead teacher.
Not again,
She thought. She looked around. No one was there, of course. Trembling, she walked over to the windows and shut the curtains. Glancing over to the corpse, she felt a sickening, yet familiar sensation bubble within her. It had been years since she last felt it, and the results had been messy.
I'll just be cleaner this time.
She thought, rubbing her front hooves together.
This one last time.
A predatory grin lit her face up, and she walked towards the body.
Well, we need to decide which pony should be next. And since we need to find out what
And Miss Sparkle would have a... Well, yeah. It may take...
Looking for a line, looking for a line, for my lines. There's no line. That's Scootaloo. There's Scootaloo everywhere in this story. Why isn't there any me in here? Oh, there's one line. Oh, there. Okay. Oh, let's see. Sweetie Belle,
Already messing up great.
Sweetie Belle, what's good?
Thank you for doing that, Peter. So great. Oh, you in the way of my request.
Sweetie Belle, what's happening? Why are you doing this? That sounds more like animal.
I got your back. I got your back. This is terrible.
Sweetie Belle, Sweetie Belle, Sweetie Belle.
Apparently, Apple Bloom's very grossed out by this.
Sweetie Belle.
Apple Bloom doesn't drink apple cider, she drinks tea. Oh, the tea. Doesn't even drink apple juice. I don't got any.
Sweetie Belle, Sweetie Belle, Ooh, I'm turning this Sweetie Belle. Sweetie Belle, this is not my here.
What? Oh, yeah.
Sweetie Belle.
Good job, maybe.
Sweetie Belle, Sweetie Belle, Sweetie Belle, Sweetie Belle. Her name is Sweetie Belle, Sweetie Belle. Cinderella, Cinderella.
Okay, let me just not do that. Uh-oh, I lost my pot. Oh no. I clicked a key and now I lost it. Where am I? Oh, here we go. Cinderella, Cinderella.
She was our teacher and we Flutters. Ooh, even everyone's voices. They're just so great. Look at me. What? She was our teacher.
Okay. I don't know. I think I'm having too much fun with this recording. Let me just calm down. Like, really, right now. Okay.
What did... Not really. It's actually...
Yeah. Okay.
Not really. Wait.
I don't know if I'm supposed to do that.
I always wanted to know what meat tasted like. Living in
I'm still going on that Cinderella thing.
Sweetie Bella, Sweetie Bella.
Okay.
I'm sure Zagora has some sleeping power Sleeping power I'm sure Zagora has some sleeping power. I'm sure Zagora has some powerful sleeping. I'm sure Zagora has some powerful sleeping.
Oh god, yeah, the bloopers, all the bloopers. We need all the bloopers. All the bloopers and me doing the weird stuff.
See y'all next time. Bye.
Yes, Sweetie Belle. I'm gonna mute that. Well, you see, even if a pony's talent is against the law, it is still a talent, so yes, it would be reflected on their cutie mark. However, that doesn't make it any less wrong to break the law. And make it... crap. And makes a pony much easier to catch if they run around with a robber. Holy crap! And it makes a pony much easier to catch if they run around with a robber cutie mark. Oh, with a robber cutie mark. Man, I am losing my touch, man. And it makes it much easier... Oh, crap. Okay, class. Looks like we're out of time for today. Remember your assignment on Alicorn history are... oh, ball sacks.
Can I record? I'm recording right now.
Haven't been out of your room, for God's sake.
Let me just quickly record this and then I'll get out. God.
And the same old song about cutie marks. Damn it! The same old... The same old cutie marks relating to every pony's special talent. And gotta fucking learn to read. English, my first language. Apple Bloom looked comatose. No, that's shit. I skipped the word. No. Suppressing a giggle, she looked past Apple Bloom to where Sweetie Belle was. No, not to. Oh, I screwed that up. To her surprise, Sweetie Belle was sitting I'm messing up way too much. Finally, when Cheerilee stopped talking for a moment, Sweetie Belle shot her hand up. Her hand? Yeah, okay. Typo. Sweetie Belle shot her hoof up. She quickly stated, seeing the confused-looking faces around the room. Excuse me, I don't know if you heard that. Cheerilee chuckled to herself. These three always had some scheme or adventure to plan out. Scootaloo noticed something that's... Oh yeah, I can't stop shaking. I should point out the fact that it's fucking cold here. I'm wearing a jacket and it's not helping. Scootaloo flung with magic at it. Flung with magic, for fuck's sake. With a dull thwick as the bade. The teacher let out a hoarse scream as she got over to the Oh man, do I not know how to read. I should point out to the fact that I fucking hate reading. So it should be a quick... I can't even talk, oh my god. The teacher let out a hoarse scream as she got over the internal shock and felt fucking kill me now. Sweetie Belle pounced on top of her teacher, her horn alight. The knife became wrapped in her magic and was pulled out of the wound. As the tip left Cheerilee, blood began to flow. The blade. Her normally off yellow coat had. Oh my god, just fucking kill me now. God damn it, it's fucking cold here. Am I fucking freezing? Fluttershy bolted up on her feet. Yeah, okay.